the Community Redevelopment Agency. This is a board meeting of which this commission is the board at 10:30 a.m. on this day, June 23rd. The first item of business on the agenda is public commentary. Is there anyone who would like to speak from the public? There appears to be none. We have a consent agenda. I'll read those items. If there's anything that you'd like to pull out to discuss individually, we can, or then we can just move forward as a group. Item number 3 is the approval of the meeting minutes from May 12th, 2020. Item number 2, approval of the residential paint program application for 1115 New York Avenue. Item number 5, approval of the residential paint program application for 1219 Alabama Avenue. Item number 6, approval of the residential paint program application for 1405 Michigan Avenue. And item number 7, approval of the residential incentive program application for 1008 New York Avenue. Is there a motion for approval or for pulling anything out?
Mayor, if you don't mind, could we pull item number 7 out? Because I do have a question about it.
Yes, we'll pull item number 7. Is there a motion for approval for items 3 through 6?
So moved.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second for items 3 through 6 of the consent agenda. Is there any discussion from the public? Any further discussion? Oh, sorry, Ben?
Good morning. I would just like to point out that the budget for the residential paint program application is typically $750, should not exceed $750. However, items 4, 5, and 6, the quotes for pressure washing and paint came in a little bit above that number. So we're at around $880 to $930, just to let you guys know.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much. Did we have a motion and a second? I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am. Yes, we did. Is there any further discussion from the public? Any from the board?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I have one
Commissioner
question.
Tender?
And my question is for Ben. On the paint program, these folks all have signed the documents that this board approved as far as how this works.
They signed the application. I gave a little bit of leeway in lieu of COVID-19 concerns in regards to having a handwritten signature on the application, but I received the applications electronically from the applicants. Whenever it is approved by the board, they will have to sign the historic preservation easement.
That's the part I'm concerned about.
Before we hire any contractors or give them any paint, that has to be signed first.
Okay, thank
before
you.
we move forward with this.
Thank you.
Any further discussion from the board? From the public? Okay, Mrs. Gaynor, would you call the roll for items 2 through 6, please?
Commissioner Tender?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I misspoke. Items 3 through 6. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Commissioner Tender?
Yes.
Commissioner Russell?
Yes.
Commissioner Perno?
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes, and so those stand approved. Item number 7 was asked to be looked at separately by Commissioner Russell. Approval of the residential incentive program application for 1008 New York Avenue. Commissioner Russell?
Thank you, Mayor. I just had one question for Mr. Jenke. The applicant's name is different from the property owner. I just want to make sure that when the check is issued, it'll be issued to the actual property owner.
I had a conversation with the property owner, actually the applicant. The property is owned by his wife, and they're in the process of updating the deed. So I guess legally he owns the property since he's married to his wife. It's just a matter of updating the documents that the deed that reflects that.
Okay.
And I think his wife signed the application as well, if
Um,
I'm not mistaken.
Go back and try to find that again. Yeah, the question for me came in the fact that on the property appraiser's website, it just lists her name, and his name was on the application. That was my question, but I think you answered that for me, sir. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion for approval of 1008 New York Avenue for the program?
So moved.
Second?
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Appears to be none. Mrs. Gaynor, please.
Commissioner Russell?
Yes.
Commissioner Tender?
Yes.
Commissioner Perno?
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes, it stands approved. Moving on to new business, item number 8, Discussion and possible action regarding the task order approval for engineering plans to install new decorative streetlights, including the electrical system, on Florida Avenue between 9th and 7th Street. Mr. Jenke?
This is a project that we just recently added to my to-do list for this fiscal year. It's part of the overall master plan to enhance the Florida Avenue corridor. We all know that we're using this street for public events, and this would be another nice feature to really visually enhance, upgrade this corridor. At this point, this task order includes only the engineering. Obviously, once engineering is done, I would come back next fiscal year to request some funding for the actual construction of these streetlights and electrical system.
Thank you. Is there a motion for approval?
Mayor, may I ask a question first?
Sure.
Oh, I mean,
Go ahead.
do we have any idea, that's 2 blocks, how many signs are going to go in that area? 4?
These are lights.
Or lights, I'm sorry.
Lights. My estimate right now is between 6 to 7 lights per city block.
Per city block?
Yes.
Wow.
So-
Okay.
And that sounds maybe like a lot, but it's not. If you think about a public event that we're hosting on Florida Avenue, we always have to rent some floodlights to illuminate the area, the right-of-way, and we're trying to avoid this so that you don't hear that generator running in the background and the band that's playing has to fight against that noise. So that's a reason.
Thank
Is it more than required? Yes, but it's designed to serve the purpose of using this area as an event place as well.
And these are the decorative lights as well.
That is
They're-
correct,
they're-
yes.
They're attractive to look at.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the commission? Any from the
Mayor,
public?
if you don't mind.
Hi, Commissioner Russell.
So you're, on the panhandle engineering paperwork, it's showing 28.5, but you're just asking for approval for the 28, not including the construction services, correct?
That is correct. I'm glad you asked that question. I took out the construction services because we're not constructing anything this fiscal year. Again, I'm coming back next fiscal year with a request for funding for the construction, and then that part of the task order will be on the agenda as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Mayor,
Go ahead, please.
this is, as Ben has said, this is all part of a revitalization plan we have for Florida Avenue. So we're taking small bites, doing it in phases, and we hope to have a really great Florida Avenue that's revitalized and has some really great things going on.
Anything else?
Do we have a motion or anything?
There is a motion and a second as far as I remember.
No.
No?
Ma-
Okay.
Okay.
So
Well,
moved.
I'll
Okay.
I'll make the motion, or she made the motion. I'll make the second then, that's fine.
I thought there had been a motion anyway. Okay. So there's a second, and is there any further discussion?
I think it goes along well, Ben. I mean, I agree with what we're trying to do with the vision of our city. I've heard the other commissioners and the mayor speak in the past, and I think we're all in agreement that, making this place what we're envisioning is necessary, and to take the steps now is perfect. So thank you for your work, Ben.
Any further discussion? Mrs. Gaynor, please call the roll.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Russell,
Yes.
Commissioner Parno,
Yes.
Mayor Anderson.
Yes, it stands approved. Thank you, Ben, for all your work. Item number 9, discussion and possible action regarding the CRA wayfinding sign RFP from June 2nd, 2020. Go ahead.
This is another project that I have on my list for this fiscal year to be completed. The wayfinding sign is, I attached an example to the agenda so that you can kind of get an idea how this would look like. Those are some signs that will be installed along the Highway 77 corridor. Not only does it serve the purpose of enhancing the aesthetics of our corridor, but it also provides information where to take a right turn in order to get to City Hall, or where to turn left if you want to go to the tax collector's office. So obviously, Highway 77 is a DOT right-of-way, and we are very limited in terms of the actions we can do, the improvements we can do to that corridor. And this is one of the few tools that we have available to enhance this corridor. Every time somebody drives down 77, that corridor leaves an impression with that traveler. And the more we can enhance this corridor, the better I think it's going to be for not only the CRA, but all, the entire city.
Absolutely.
So this RFP was issued. We received 3 proposals, and each proposal was ranked or scored by city employees, by 3 city employees, and the most qualified sign company is Sign Star Company. Let's see. With their proposal for the design, fabrication, and installation of 12 wayfinding signs in the total amount of $61,792. So at this point, I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any questions, or at this point I would ask for approval of this RFP as proposed.
Mayor, if you
Aye.
mind.
Please go ahead, Commissioner Russell.
Yeah, just got a couple of questions, Ben. First, how many signs are we looking, or how many locations are we looking at for the 61,000? How many locations are we looking at denoting with the signs?
12 signs, 12 locations.
12 locations. So so the signs are only going to be on one side of the road. They're not going to be on both sides of the road.
Well, there are some signs on the northbound side and some signs on the southbound side. So I also attached a map to the agenda packet that outlines the approximate location of each sign. Ideally, you want to install these signs in front of, right before an intersection, for example, here around 9th Street and 77, 14th Street, and then also at 8th Street where you have to make a turn to, or 7th Street where you want to make a turn to go to the tax collector's office.
Mayor, if I may continue.
Please go ahead.
Just for my education, because, I think it's a great idea we're doing this, but say you're going northbound on 77, the sign going to the tax collector wouldn't be seen going northbound. You'd only see it going southbound. Is that my understanding?
You would see it on both signs. So one sign has multiple information listed. So and you would actually see a left arrow with the tax collector's information if you go northbound, and if you come southbound on Highway 77, you would have also tax collector information, but with a right arrow. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Okay, I think. Okay, thank you.
Mayor, if I may,
Please.
you're talking right at my alley, because I made signs for years and years. $61,000, but I still think things cost 12 cents too, so keep that in mind. That seems like an outrageous amount of money, but did you get any quotes from people right here in town, local sign makers? Because we've got some great ones here.
I did not get any quotes from local sign makers. We had this RFP advertised in the local newspaper, so if they read the paper, they were aware that we were offering this or that we had this project and that we're
Okay.
working on right now.
If we are legally bound to go with this particular company, and the signs they're not going to be in the median, right? They're going to be obviously on the other side of the sidewalk, or are they going to be right at the edge of the street? You don't know or haven't decided.
I know this is DOT will tell us where to install the signs. They own the right of way, and they will. This is part of this proposal. The vendor would have to obtain a permit from DOT that would approve the proposed sign locations. You have to keep in mind this sign has to be manufactured based on DOT standards. So the sign that you're looking at is at least 10 feet tall, is made out of aluminum, and it has a concrete foundation with a breakaway system. So it's not just a simple sign, it has to meet DOT specifications. Otherwise, they would not allow to install the sign within their right-of-way.
And just one more question. Have you ever considered, I've gone through some towns, well, on the expressway and stuff like that too. Have you ever considered having small plates on the bottom and allow a business to pay for that and help pay for the signs? You know, like 8th Street, Victoria's, whatever. You know, there are a lot of businesses around, and you can do it without it getting tacky, because there's nothing more common than black on beige. You're not going to ever get accused of that. Just a thought, some way to save some money or something.
I'm afraid DOT wouldn't allow that. They will even tell us what is allowed and what is not allowed, the wordage or the message that is listed on the sign. I cannot even say, take a left here if you want to go to Wild Root Cafe. That would promote a local business, and they would not allow this. The only wayfinding sign, that's their terminology, the information on a wayfinding sign can only be for either public places or city hall, some public locations.
I would highly recommend that you get, for example, right up there on 8th Street, isn't that the corner where the dentist or doctor's office is? Isn't that 8th Street?
I think so.
Well, anyway, here's my point. If we need direction before you spend $61,000 from DOT, because if they say that sign has to go there and 4 foot off the edge of the curb, nobody will see the sign. It will be behind the doctor's office. You could run into that problem a lot of places. If they are the ones that are going to place them, we could just be wasting our money.
Well,
Just a thought.
$5,000 a sign, 12 signs.
May I ask a question? Is it possible if we were to
That's a lot of money.
reconvene on this particular item at the next meeting, is it possible to get DOT to approve the location before the signs are ordered? Like exactly where they're placed, or is that not the way they do things? I know that I have difficulty working with DOT. I'm still trying to get some kind of traffic signal on Bailey Bridge after 5 years, so.
I think there's a possibility that we can get
Just
some
the concerns
information
of
from
how close to the right-of-way they can be
Yes.
and that kind of thing.
I do not really want to interfere with the permitting process through the vendor, because the vendor will really, it's the vendor's liability. If something goes wrong, it's really the vendor's liability and not my or the city's liability. At the same time, the person I've been dealing with at DOT regarding the permitting of the wayfinding sign has been very cooperative.
Great.
They provided some examples, what would be permissible under their regulations. And I can imagine that they can, if I show them the map, that they can give me a general idea if this location would be permissible or not.
So Mayor, you're saying once, if approved today for this vendor, that maybe Ben could bring that back and let the commission at least see where those signs are going to be located?
I was actually saying it in reverse. I was saying if we could find the location before we approve the signs, because if I'm not trying to put words in any commissioner's mouth, but it looks to me like I'm hearing that they're thinking it's a large expense to not know where they can be placed. In other words, if we pay that much and then we're told they have to be placed in a certain spot that is not conducive to helping people find
Sure.
where they're going. I think, is that what I'm hearing?
And
Mayor, why
also-
why don't we just ask Ben to, I mean, you can award contingent on Ben asking the vendor, because what Ben's saying is the vendor's going to handle it all, not only building the sign and placing
Placing
it,
it.
but everything. So why don't we do it in a two-step process where the vendor goes through, gets the permitting, and the city would pay him whatever the appropriate amount in the bid, and then bring back the placement. And if the city doesn't like it, then we can go from, we can go from there, terminate the contract and pay him for the work to that point. I don't know if the vendor will go for that, but I think that may alleviate the questions I keep hearing repeated.
Mayor,
Go ahead, please.
do we not have any sort of leeway or weight in the decision-making when we are the ones giving the permit? We don't?
You're not
One
giving the permit.
FDOT.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm sorry, you're right, I apologize.
If I may just say one more thing.
Sure.
You know Roy in Public Works? The one that letters all the vehicles, it's the same material. He does the stop signs, he makes all of our roadway signs. I would really talk to him because I think he could make them for about $100 a piece. That's just my thought. It's the same equipment that those folks are going to use. And it's going to be aluminum, spray painted, possibly a little brown border around the outside, and it's all vinyl lettering. Or they could do spray paint. I mean, it's just a thought. And
Well, I'd like to make the motion, if I could, to go ahead and approve moving forward, contingent upon that the signs are going to be in a visible area for our residents and visitors alike as they travel along the 77 corridor.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? Any from the public? Mrs. Gaynor?
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Russell,
Yes.
Commissioner Perno,
No.
Commissioner Tender,
no.
Mayor Anderson.
No. Moving to item number 9.
That was 9.
Item number 10, I can't see.